From a teenager making a near-fatal move at gunpoint, to a Porsche driver swallowing his own stash, all the way to a car driving the wrong way, pulling a disappearing act. These are the most extreme high-speed escapes ever captured on dashcam. A blacked-out Dodge Charger blasted past Arkansas State Police Trooper Tanner Crossland on the desolate outskirts of Little Rock. The driver pushed the stolen muscle car to a staggering 140 miles per hour, dodging moderate night traffic with the headlights killed. Running dark at that speed turned the massive sedan into an invisible missile, but Crossland wasn't going to let him vanish into the night. Maintaining his own dangerous speed, the trooper kept the phantom car in his sights until the suspect bailed off the interstate. The chase spilled onto the narrow, unforgiving streets of a commercial district where a second officer, Trooper Trey Davis, took the lead. The suspect's tires screamed through tight 90-degree turns, kicking up dust and debris as the driver fought to maintain control. However, the massive front-end damage the Charger sustained earlier dragged on the pavement, throwing sparks and slowing his desperate getaway. When the crippled vehicle finally gave out, the teenage driver made a near-fatal mistake. As officers leveled their weapons and screamed for him to step out, Torrio Ruiz reached down to grab his dark cell phone. Troopers ripped him from the driver's seat by his shirt before he caught a bullet, soon finding open alcohol containers in the cabin and confirming the kid was driving drunk. Trooper Billy Martin caught wind of a fleeing black Infiniti pushing top speeds across the Tennessee state line. Martin hammered the gas, pushing his cruiser past 130 miles per hour just to catch a glimpse of the suspect on Interstate 40 west of Memphis. The fleeing driver knew he couldn't out-accelerate the police on a straightaway, so he prepared a suicidal alternative. Hitting the brakes hard, the suspect whipped the Infiniti into a sudden, tire-smoking U-turn right in the middle of the divided interstate. He mashed the accelerator and drove the wrong way straight into oncoming highway traffic, gambling his life to break the trooper's line of sight. Dozens of civilian vehicles swerved onto the dirt shoulders to avoid head-on collisions as the dark sedan rocketed down the westbound lanes at over 100 miles per hour. The terrifying maneuver worked just as the driver intended. Martin lost visual contact as the suspect vanished into the chaotic flow of panicked drivers. Although a civilian pointed the police toward northeastern Memphis, jurisdictional limits forced the troopers to terminate the active hunt. The driver managed to slip away, proving that sometimes suspects escape when they push the boundary from reckless to homicidal. A Florida Highway Patrol officer cruising through Hillsborough County spotted two street racers tearing down Interstate 40 in the dead of night. An orange Ford Mustang and a white Porsche Panamera were locked in a dangerous neck-and-neck sprint, treating the public road like a private drag strip. Their high-performance engines echoed across the empty highway as they pushed past legal limits. When the racers noticed the patrol cruiser creeping up behind them, the Porsche driver slammed the gas, leaving his buddy behind to deal with the cops. The officer ignored the Mustang and chased the Panamera as it rocketed past 150 miles per hour down the dark interstate. The suspect weaved onto the narrow streets of western Florida, trying to outhandle the pursuing unit in tighter turns. The trooper seized an opening and executed a precise pit maneuver, but the heavy luxury car absorbed the impact and just kept rolling forward. Eventually, the damaged sports car spun out in a residential zone, and officers converged with their service weapons drawn. As they pulled the driver from the wreckage, they noticed his bizarre, panicked behavior had nothing to do with the crash itself. The man swallowed a massive handful of his own drugs right before stopping, choosing a potential overdose over a guaranteed trafficking charge. Trooper Russell Aiken sat stationary on Interstate 49 when his dash radar screamed at a white BMW flying by at 125 miles per hour. The driver spotted the cruiser in his rear view and immediately cranked his speed up to a blistering 150, weaving erratically through the light daytime traffic. He ditched the open highway, dragging the high-speed pursuit into the quiet, unsuspecting suburbs of Washington County. The suspect ripped through a hospital zone and hit a roundabout so fast his car caught serious air, launching off the pavement. Aiken matched the reckless pace, barely avoiding a disaster of his own as both vehicles landed hard on the asphalt and kept rolling. The fleeing driver sideswiped another civilian car, blowing through blind intersections before fleeing behind the local Ozark Iron Gym. Michael Nightingale kicked open his door, bailed from the wrecked BMW, and sprinted 200 yards across an open commercial lot. His stamina ran out fast, forcing him to finally surrender to the pursuing trooper. Officers soon discovered Nightingale was a paroled absconder with a massive rap sheet stretching back well over a decade. He caught a fresh 36-month sentence for the stunt, proving his desperate bid for freedom only guaranteed him a faster trip back to a concrete cell. Emergency dispatchers fielded multiple terrified calls about a silver Lexus carving through crowded Arkansas traffic at well over 100 miles per hour. Trooper Trey Fales intercepted the suspect as the sedan whipped recklessly around a lumbering semi-truck, nearly clipping the massive metal trailer. Fales pushed his cruiser to 140 miles per hour, but the Lexus kept pulling away, clearly maxing out its digital speedometer on the long straightaways of Interstate 40. The driver banked hard toward an upcoming exit ramp, but the blistering speed gave him zero time to react to the sharp asphalt curve. The Lexus hit the dirt shoulder, lost all traction, and launched into a brutal rollover right in the middle of the active westbound lanes. Twisted metal, shattered glass, and shredded plastic rained across the pavement as the destroyed vehicle finally rested upside down. Troopers arrived at the smoking wreckage to find the driver, Kendall Joette, crumpled on the ground 30 yards away from the primary impact point. He'd been thrown from the rolling cabin, miraculously surviving the ejection, but suffering severe, debilitating leg injuries. Emergency medical crews airlifted him to a nearby hospital, while police dug 39 grams of marijuana out of his shattered floorboards. Trooper Kyle Sheldon was running a standard highway patrol when a sport bike blasted past his window at an eye-watering 150 miles per hour. The rider didn't show any signs of slowing down, tucking his body low over the gas tank and treating the public highway like his own personal racetrack. Sheldon punched the gas and gave chase, tailing the unregistered speed demon through dense clusters of afternoon civilian traffic. The rider banked his motorcycle into sweeping curves at 130 miles per hour, eventually diving into an active construction zone to shake the cops. He threaded the needle between bright orange cones and massive semi-trucks, hoping the tight squeeze would block the trooper's wider cruiser. Sheldon navigated the hazard with precision, but the dense traffic allowed the biker to slip out of his immediate line of sight. The suspect's luck ran dry a few miles down the road when he hit a local traffic circle way too fast. He lost control of the handlebars, clipped a passing silver car, and dumped the bike hard onto the unforgiving asphalt. Officers pulled 27-year-old Jacob Costley from the pavement, slapping cuffs on the bruised rider before towing away his uninsured, wrecked motorcycle. Trooper Corbin Rideout spotted a black Dodge Charger wanted in connection with a major theft at a Hot Springs Walmart. When he flipped on his lights for a routine stop, the driver faked compliance, pulling over briefly before slamming the accelerator straight to the floorboard. The heavy sedan roared down Highway 70, kicking off a desperate, high-stakes sprint through the winding back roads of Garland County. Rideout pushed his police interceptor to 140 miles per hour, the engine screaming as he tried to close the gap, but the getaway driver just kept building distance. The suspects must have been flirting with 160 miles per hour as they blasted past slower civilian vehicles on the rural two-lane road. Realizing he couldn't outrun the police radio network, the driver suddenly veered off the asphalt and crashed the Charger deep into a thick wooded area. The driver, Cavanta Hampton, ditched his two passengers in the smoking vehicle and sprinted into the dense forest brush. Backup officers quickly extracted the trapped accomplices, while a tactical search team hunted down Hampton in the surrounding woods. The trio had swiped over $3 grand in store merchandise, trading a simple shoplifting charge for multiple violent felonies and a destroyed getaway car. Trooper Jacob Price caught a radio call about a black Chevy Camaro rolling through Columbia County with expired registration tags. He swung his cruiser around on Interstate 79 to intercept the vehicle, but the suspect didn't wait for the flashing police lights. The driver punched the throttle the second he spotted the cop in his rearview mirror, instantly escalating a minor traffic violation into a massive felony pursuit. Both vehicles tore onto the open highway, their speedometers quickly bearing the needles near the 150-mile-per-hour mark. The exhaust roared as the suspect swerved across double yellow lines, dodging oncoming cars and refusing to surrender, even as he ran out of straight highway pavement. Price attempted a high-speed Piet maneuver, but oncoming traffic forced him to back off and wait for a much safer tactical window. The suspect tried shaking the trooper with erratic left-to-right swerves, but the intense mechanical strain finally blew out the Camaro's roaring engine. With the muscle car losing power, Price moved in and bumped the rear quarter panel, sending the suspect sliding into a deep grassy ditch. Officers pulled the defeated driver from the disabled wreck, ending a senseless chase sparked by a simple expired license plate.